My amp unit, Friday night Smackdown review on a Saturday. Hopefully you guys are already kicking this weekend's ass. Hopefully you caught yesterday's podcast where the Amplified Man unloads on Vincent Kennedy McMahon, not just for the bullshit that he tried to pull at Hell in a Cell, or that he did pull at Hell in a Cell, but just for losing touch with the wrestling world as a whole. I'm done with it. It's time for Vincent Kennedy McMahon to step aside. It's been time for him to step aside, and I explain in full in yesterday's podcast. Bayley saved Friday Night Smackdown last night. It's as simple as that. This by no means at all was a good show until Bayley pulled her antics last night. And I'm going to get to that at the end. You're gonna have to wait because we are gonna have to put up with the bullshit first because this is a full top to bottom, start to finish, beginning to end review. So we gotta go through the bullshit to get to the gem, the diamond in the rough, which was Bayley last night. And by the way, speaking of Bayley, Sasha Banks for the Sasha crew. Sasha is all right. She's being advertised to take on Becky Lynch this Monday night on Raw. The winner of that match, their brand, which Sasha is now the blue brand, and Becky is definitely, as we knew, she was the Raw Women's Champion, so she is on Raw. She's been drafted over there. The winner of that match Monday, their brand will get first dibs that night for the draft. Who the fuck cares? It's just good to see Sasha Banks is good, no injury, she's ready to go. So, despite what you hear from here on out, she's good to go. Now on to SmackDown, guys. Again, we got to get through the bullshit to get to the good. We kick this thing off. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. This was an 8:06 p.m. Eastern Time start. 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time finish. This was a 14-minute match. This was actually a good match. I never thought that it would not be. I just thought it was funny how Vince put these two together. Roman Reigns, for over 4 years, could not really connect with the audience in its entirety. And for the past year, Seth Rollins has not been able to connect with the audience in its entirety. So it's almost like Vince said, let's put them together. They gotta cheer for one of them. And I don't know if that was the case. I felt the whole time the audience was kind of split and kind of didn't know where to go. They started out in this match as Kumbaya friends, just pretty much respecting one another and feeling each other out. And then after just 3 minutes, they said, fuck that and fuck you. The gloves were off. At one point, Rollins hit a pretty cool pedigree off of a Reigns spear. This was done actually beautifully. I really enjoyed that. The finish of this match, in typical WWE fashion, was a no contest. Because whenever WWE backs themselves into a corner, they take the pussy way out. They take the easy way out. No contest. They consistently, time after time, put two individuals that absolutely need to be made to look strong. They consistently put them together in the ring, and they don't have an outcome. They don't know what to do. Oh shit, we promoted this, but neither one of them can lose. No contest. Disqualification. Count out. And that's what they do time after time. This company absolutely is off the fucking deep end. Whatever the opposite of brilliant is, that's what Vince McMahon is. He is the opposite of brilliant. Stupid. I'm with you there, Ryback. The lights go out at the end of the... Again, this is a no contest because the lights went out. Bray Wyatt comes from underneath the ring. The Fiend. So I'm not underneath, actually through the bottom of the ring. So the ring just, the Undertaker used to do it. He comes up through the ring. Not from just underneath. Through the ring. Well, they had the Fiend do that. I love that shit. I do. And he actually took Seth Rollins, mandible claw, and he swallowed him through the ring. He brought him down with him. Smoke comes up, and it wasn't until about 10 seconds later Rollins pops back up, and he's scared shitless. I love this Wyatt shit. I thought that was badass. It always is when they actually take the time to do this type of stuff. And the Bray character is the perfect one to do that if it's not going to be The Undertaker. So I love that. What I don't like is the fact that they're wasting it on a Seth Rollins rematch. This is a match nobody, I, nor do any of you, need to or want to see this again after what happened Sunday. In fact, just the thought that we gave Vince McMahon that type of backlash over Sunday, and the fact that he's willing to do this all over again is an insult to all of us. And that shows you that he's just trying to troll us. Oh, we'll let it roll over Monday. They'll all forget about it. We'll give it again at Crown Jewel. That's all this is. So I would have loved this if Bray was actually doing this in a feud that was going to lead to something making Bray look really dominant. But in the end, at Crown Jewel, Seth Rollins will just still retain the championship. And what are you going to tell me? Oh, Bray will look dominant though. This time he's going to beat up Rollins really bad. Wow. Awesome. He still doesn't get the ultimate prize. So after a 2-month feud and 2 matches after Crown Jewel, he still will not have the Universal Championship. And I've said time and time again, that character doesn't need the Universal Championship. But the fact that Vince McMahon put him in this feud with the Universal Champion, and he's not walking away after 2 months with the strap, that diminishes the value of the Fiend. So where does the Fiend go after Crown Jewel? A 2-month feud with the Universal Champion. He was unable to get the job done 2 times because he won't have the strap after Crown Jewel, I'm telling you. Unless Vince really wakes up and realizes his wrongdoings and changes his mind and calls an audible and puts the strap on Bray Wyatt. But if it's business as usual, where I think Vince is going with this, Seth is going to keep the championship. And then what? Bray goes to another feud? It's going to be downgraded. They had Bray come in and start at the very top. So now the only way for Bray to go is downwards. Every feud is going to be downgraded. And we're still going to look at The Fiend as not being able to get the job done when it counts the most. Because he didn't get the Universal Championship. I hope this is making sense. It's diminished. In a smart fan's mind, like yours truly, who doesn't forget what happened yesterday, last week, or the year before. I remember this stuff, and I'm constantly taking inventory subconsciously. And I store that in my memory bank. So I love all this Wyatt shit. We just don't need to see Rollins and Wyatt ever again if that's the type of booking that they have for them, like we just saw at Hell in a Cell. And we know he's not going to get the champion, especially Bray Wyatt. Afterwards, they did the draft picks. Bray Wyatt was one of the first-round draft picks to go to Smackdown. So Bray Wyatt's on Smackdown. So unless Rollins is coming over with his Universal Championship, obviously Bray's not getting it. Bray's not going to bring the Universal Championship over to fucking SmackDown. It's just not going to be done. Or is it? You never know with this fucking company. But I'm sure that's what they're going to want you to believe. There's a chance it could go over to the blue brand. And what do they do at Crown Jewel, guys? What is it going to be? A count-out finish? All of this hype and Vince is just going to troll us again? That's what I mean. The ending would have been cool if it wasn't for a Rollins rematch feud. If this was just somebody new, something different, something fresh where you knew the end result was going to be Bray looking dominant as fuck and excelling in the company, then I'm all in. But because this is just going to start at the top and slowly downgrade every feud, because that's what you're doing. You're starting at Seth Rollins, and what are you going to end up at? Baron Corbin? You're gonna end up at Cesaro, Apollo, Heath Slater? What's next for The Fiend? You started at the champion, you couldn't get the job done. In fact, at Hell in a Cell, you got beat up so bad the referee had to call the match because he feared for your life. That's a monster? So yeah, they can do all these cool things with The Fiend, but when it counts the most, just like the Bray Wyatt character before The Fiend, he never can get the job done when it counts. I'm sick of that shit. And at Crown Jewel, I'm not going to have my intelligence insulted yet again. I'm not going to be trolled. I see where this is going, and I'm not buying in to the bullshit. Round 1 of the draft was announced next up by Stephanie McMahon. 2 SmackDown, 3 Monday Night Raw participants. SmackDown got, again, the aforementioned Bray Wyatt, and they'll also be getting Roman Reigns. Neither one of those were shockers. If you follow this channel, you know I broke this news 2 weeks ago that Fox wanted Bray Wyatt and Fox was going to get Bray Wyatt. And we already knew Roman Reigns was a mainstay on SmackDown. Fox was not going to get rid of him. Monday Night Raw gets the OC as a whole, Drew McIntyre, and the man Becky Lynch. Wow, Raw's going to be riveting from here on out. Oh wait, that's the same fucking Raw participants we've seen forever. And Monday Night Raw is trash. So that was first round of the draft. That was absolutely nonsensical. It was bullshit. It was nothing informative. Unreal. And then they had these little war rooms, USA and Fox. I would have liked that if it wasn't done so corny and nerdy. Like after somebody was announced, the whole war room just went ballistic. Like they all just found out that they were getting fucking free ice cream for the next year. Come on, bro. Nobody's flipping out that much over the OC or Bobby Lashley or fucking Heavy Machinery. You know what I mean? Free ice cream for a year, Baskin Robbins? Wow! Come on, bruh. They were going ballistic over these names. I'm like, what are you... It's fucking Ricochet! Our number one ended with Baron Corbin in another rematch with Chad Gable. We get it. It was good the first time. It was good the second time. We certainly did not need to see this again at Hell in a Cell at the pay-per-view. But we did. Okay, that should have been it. Nope. We got it again last night. Match number 4 now. So it's not even like a rubber series, 3 matches. That's enough. 4 matches now. So they have a 7-minute match and Baron Corbin wins. Who gives a fuck at this point? Now they're just going to trade off till we get to what? Match number 20? The real icing on the cake was the fact that they were actually calling Gable Shorty Gable. That's right. I want you to think about this because I'm not making this up. His name is now Shorty Gable. This fucking company, I can't even, but I'm going to try to elaborate what I was thinking at that point. You see, I was thinking, if I could just get up right now, because I just had a huge thing of fucking Chinese food. Like, literally, I ordered every appetizer meal. You know how there's like 12 appetizers? I ordered all fucking 12, and then I got one of those main fucking seafood dishes. So I was pretty much planted into the king's chair at that point. But if I could get up, I was thinking, I'm going to find every cement wall in New York City and plow my head straight through every single one of them. Shorty Gable? Shorty Gable! Seriously, Shorty Gable? Somebody sat around a boardroom table with Vincent Kennedy and said, Vince, I love that idea because they're too much of an ass kisser to say otherwise. They're too much of an ass kisser and they have their head so far up Vince McMahon's ass that they're too afraid to say, Vince, that is a horrendous idea and you're gonna kill this awesome superstar. Shorty Gable is his new name. Moving on. Enough said. Stephanie McMahon is back at the podium for round 2. Oh shit, if it's anything as riveting as round 1, we're gonna go ballistic in excitement. Smackdown gets Sasha Banks and Braun Strowman. So that's pretty stacked over there on the blue brand. Sasha and Braun, 2 big names. Sasha being the biggest for the Amplified, man. And over on Raw, they get Ricochet, Randy Orton, and Lashley. I guess Randy Orton is the only other newsworthy name in all of this. He goes over to Raw, that's newsworthy. Ricochet and Lashley, they were already a part of Raw, so nothing really changed there. Orton's the big change. And again, Braun Strowman is a pretty big name, but he's booked like a fucking loser 90% of the time. So we'll see what SmackDown does with him. Sasha Banks going to the blue brand, that's the interesting part here. What do they do with her? Bayley, it looks like, is going to be there too because of the championship situation. Are they going to, like, when this is all said and done, reform a tag team, Bayley and Sasha? I don't know if I need to see that. I really want to see Sasha go on her own and finally get a championship and finally hold it for more than a month. Is that so much to ask? But if they're going to be a tag team, man, at least a vicious heel team. Not none of these little huggers and we're doing it for the kids tag team like they were before in the Boss and Hug Connection. No, at least this would be much different. We gotta see, man. I just don't want Sasha being a glorified cheerleader to Bayley, or vice versa. Because after last night, I became a fucking Bayley fan. And again, I'll get to that in a couple minutes. But that was round 2. Sasha and Braun to the blue brand. Ricochet, Orton, Lashley over to the red brand. But most of them were already on the red brand, so it doesn't fucking... Again, this was all nonsensical. Hour 2 starts with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman in a promo middle of the ring. This was just to have Mysterio and Cain Velasquez hit the top of the ramp and they showed some photos of Brock and Kane 9 years earlier in the UFC in the Octagon. So you know that's all Fox wanted to establish here, because that's all that happened. Kane showed some photos, then walked away. And Brock just basically looked at Paul Heyman and said, like, all right, I want to go home. Are we done with this? Nothing happened other than some UFC photos from 9 years ago. And you know Fox wants WWE to be looked at as a real sport like MLB, NBA, NFL. So if they can get some UFC photos, let's put them in. I saw this from the jump, man. This was a joke from the beginning, and I knew nothing of substance was going to take place. They just waste Brock appearances. That's what I hate, right? Brock Lesnar appearances are so far and few in between that when he's there, every single time, do we have to have the same Paul Heyman Brock Lesnar promo to the hard camera? Can we get creative and original a little bit? I'm not saying he's ought to always beat the shit out of people, but change it up a little, man. It has reached a point, and it has been at a point where I'm just done seeing him just stare at the hard camera while Paul Heyman gives a phenomenal promo. Paul Heyman is almost incapable of giving a bad promo. But at what point is the same shit just becoming redundant to the point of stale? It's like the New Day act. I always tell you guys, the New Day for me. Yes, it worked, still works to a high degree, but it's stale in so many ways. You can't do anything more with them. It's just going to be six-man schmazes. Or even if it's a two-man, then it's, what, a 116th tag team title reign? There's nothing more you could do with New Day. They've hosted, they've had 116 title reigns, they've been in 5,400,617 six-man schmazes. How many times has Brock stared at a hard camera while Paul Heyman has given a Dynamite promo? 9,415 times to be exact. It's done. And again, this was all just to show some UFC photos so you have actual sport on Fox on Friday night. Speaking of the New Day, they were up next with the OC. Come on, who cares about this? Seriously, another schmaz? And Kofi defeats AJ Styles for what? What is the reasoning? I'll tell you the reasoning. This was a consolation prize to Kofi because he dropped the title to Brock Lesnar in 7 seconds last week. So Vince McMahon extended an olive branch and said, hey, we'll have you take out one of the best this week. It's a consolation prize. Let's make Kofi look like still a champion even though he doesn't have the title. I get it. But why does AJ Styles collecting a loss here? Now, I guess you could say, hey, at least it wasn't Gallows or Anderson finally not getting beat, right? At least it was Styles. But listen, this is a time where OC needs victories. Listen to my words. The OC needs victories right now. Since they've been formed, they're under 50-50 booked. They're basically 30-70. 70% of the time, they are losing their matches. They need victories for anybody to take them seriously. So at a time where they need victories, of course they're losing, because that's how Vince runs his company, ass backwards. They need a victory? Let's give them a loss. And it's AJ Styles. Something just didn't fit well with the Amplify man. I just saw Styles flat on his back looking up at the lights in a 7-minute schmazzery match getting pinned. It just did not sit well with me, man. And this is just more 50-50 bullshit booking at its finest with this company. Stephanie McMahon is up next for round 3 of the draft. Smackdown gets Lacey Evans in the Revival. I hope you buckled your seatbelt in at that point because that excitement was so riveting, you would have catapulted yourself right through your roof. Lacey Evans in the Revival going to Smackdown. Revival's already there anyway, so it doesn't... Raw gets Alexa Bliss, Kevin Owens, and Natty. Alexa Bliss and Natty are basically always on Raw anyway. Kevin Owens would be the only name of substance. This whole draft, to say it was done bad or piss poor would be an understatement. It was lackluster and done in the most mediocrity of ways that I could possibly think of. We come back from commercial, And it's round 4 of the draft. I hope you're buckled in because the excitement is about to be riveting at this point. Smackdown gets the Lucha Summer College House Party and Heavy Machinery. Monday Night Raw gets the Viking Raider Warrior Experience Adventure, Nikki Cross, and the Street Profits. At this point, I could hardly hold in my excitement. It just wanted to burst out at the seams. The Street Profits on Raw. Yes! We get to hear them for a half an hour every Monday night promote every product under the sun. Coca-Cola, Arby's, Home Depot. If you got a product, put it in front of them and they'll fucking try to hype it up for a half an hour. And we all have to listen to the bullshit. Main event, Bayley versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I honestly thought this is just another way to bury Bayley even more. She finally turned heel, in a way. And I liked the heel that she was playing. It was like a delusional heel. Like, what do you mean? I'm still a role model for your kids, but she's really not. So I liked it. But they didn't do anything with it. They just had her lose her championship, and then you kind of thought, okay, now she's just going into obscurity. But last night, she came out with this new, with her hair did. Right? It's chopped up. It's shorter now. It's a new hairdo. She took these fucking, what was it? Some shears of some sort. And she just slashed every single one of her Bayley buddies. If you thought I was emotionally attached to Ramblin' Rabbit, man, when she took out the red Bayley buddies, because those are the ones I felt connected to them, man. I was like, no, not red. Don't do red. Red got chopped. And then there was right side red. And he's like, I'm still gonna flow. I'm still with you, Bayley. And Bayley's like, fuck you, bitch. Boom. And Red's like, no. Boom. And then both Reds were taken out, man. Oh, the Bayley buddies were gone. Now, I know that's something we wanted to have happen for a true, real heel Bayley. I never knew how connected I was to those Bayley buddies until I saw those poor faces get deflated into nothingness. That was tragic for me. Right up there with Ramblin' Rabbit and losing 8 of his 9 lives. But it was so awesome to see, man. And new theme music, right? I think I heard new, at least at the end of it, I know that was not Bayley's original music. So she changed everything. And that was so awesome to see. I was like, this is great. And then I immediately thought, but all of this is just the job to Charlotte? Like, you debuted all of this new heel persona just to job to Charlotte, because there's no way they're giving the title back to Bayley, right? Talk about shocked. When Bayley defeated Charlotte and became new SmackDown Women's Champion yet again in the year of 2019. Absolutely floored by that decision. Now, yes, there are questions. Does this lead to Charlotte's 476th title reign? Right? Because Charlotte is known to have all these short title reigns and then she gets it right back, and that's how she's going to beat her father within like 5 years' time. The answer to that question is yes. Charlotte is absolutely getting that strap back, and it's probably going to be, wait, they can't compete at Crown Jewel, can they? I know last time they were trying to get the females to compete. Well, maybe they're going to try to get the females in there at Crown Jewel, but either way, Charlotte will be getting that belt back soon. Sooner than later, right? We don't know. I mean, knowing Vince, it could be next, or who knows? And what about Sasha? That's another question, right? Charlotte's one thing. Does she get it right back and become the 477th time champion? Another question is Sasha Banks. Like, she is cleared, as I said. She's going to be wrestling Becky Lynch this Monday. There's no injury. But on top of that, what does it do for her in the title picture? Bayley just got it back. If Bayley's going to be tied up with Charlotte for the title, what does this say about Sasha Banks, who is now on the blue brand? Is she just going to be mid-card status, and every now and again you'll see her like Ember Moon and Asuka was used for over a year? So there are questions. I choose to sit back and enjoy this one because Bayley unloaded this new heel persona and captured the championship in the same night. So I'm choosing to enjoy this shit rather than let the questions boggle me down. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll see where they go. I no longer put stock in this company, and this company continues to befuddle me in the worst of ways. So I'm expecting no different. So for one night, for a few nights maybe, a whole week maybe, I'm going to enjoy Bayley as champion with this new heel dominant persona because it was so badass. The hair, the slashing of the Bayley buddies, as much as I love some of those buddies, R.I.P., the new music, the title reign, and then she gets on the mic after she wins the title and she beats Charlotte. Hey, bitches, screw all of you. I loved it, man. Mic drop. There's no more in-betweener. Is she really a heel, BC? I still had some of that even up to last week, and I was like, yeah, she is. She's just playing a delusional heel. I like that. But this kind of heel, I like even more if you're going to go full throttle. We already know Banks went that way, and then they had Banks tap out a Hell in a Cell. You could have thought of a better finish than a tap-out victory, man. At least have Sasha get pinned after going to war. A tap-out is too weak for somebody that just came back. Beggars can't be choosers. At least Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch's Hell in a Cell match had a definitive winner and loser. So I guess we should take it. But I would have had Sasha just get pinned if you were gonna have her get beat. The tap out makes someone look so fucking weak. I said that about Becky Lynch when she tapped out to Asuka at the Royal Rumble, and then she went on an hour and a half later to enter the Royal Rumble and win it. And I was like, I can't believe she's winning the Rumble after she just tapped out the fucking Asuka. A tap out, I remember shit like that. Because that's somebody saying, I'm done, you got me. Whereas if you can't reach the 3 count because you went to war and you gave it all you had, that to me makes you look stronger. You know, unless you're getting tapped out like Stone Cold Steve Austin, your face is full of how you doing, and you will not quit until you fucking pass out. But you can't do the pass out finish all the time, otherwise it won't be as special. I don't know. I'm going into left field with a hockey stick now, man. My dome piece is all over the place. Let's stick with Bayley. That was badass. The championship win was a shocker to me. And yes, we know that this is eventually going to lead to another Charlotte championship, but at least Bayley was not buried in the process. In fact, Bayley's stock rose this week. And coming off the Hell in a Cell, I honestly thought she was going into irrelevancy. So that was awesome for Bayley, man. Smackdown was Bayley's night. Smackdown last night was Bayley's bitch. Hey, bitches. Meaning Smackdown, meaning Fox. Bayley owned that shit. That whole show was just not good, guys. Wasn't. It had a moment or two here and there, but it just wasn't good. Bayley made that show last night and made me excited to talk about it. If that didn't happen, I don't even want to know how I would have reviewed this show. You guys probably would have liked it for entertainment purposes, but I'm not so sure I would have enjoyed it. So, man, that's just awesome. And we'll see what Sasha Banks... Right, Sasha Banks gets drafted over to the Blue Brand, and then immediately she has a Monday Night Raw match this Monday. But the wild card rule is over. BC, it's over after the draft, and Monday is still considered the draft. Yeah, I get it, Sherlock. The point is, you still have the stigma of the wild card rule. You still have that stigma that everybody is all over the place. If Sasha's over on SmackDown, let it be. She's back on Raw. It's gonna take the casual fan and confuse them even more. But you know what? Vince doesn't even give a fuck anymore about confusing people. I think at the age of 70 some odd years old, Vince McMahon is losing his fucking marbles, and he doesn't even fucking remember what's going on. But because of Bayley, that was not a tragic show. It was not good. It just wasn't. But Bayley was off the charts. What? That was awesome. And as I put over on the Twitter machine last night, I said 10, 11, 19, BC Amplified became a Bayley fan. Because I did. That is what I've wanted to see for the longest fucking time. And she did it brilliantly and beautifully. She pulled it off in a realistic and believable way that I absolutely enjoyed and loved fully. Tenfold. Awesome shit to see. What's up next, guys? That's it, man. That caps off a huge 2 weeks in WWE, man. We put out a video almost every single day, if not every day. That is fucking awesome. I thank you guys who have watched every single video for the last 2 weeks. I really do appreciate it. We had an amazing run. I gave you guys everything I had while doing all the other things I do in life. But I tried to every day make time for you guys, and I thank you so much for making time for the Amplified, man. It's been an incredible run. I'm going to take the next day, maybe 2 days off, unless I feel like popping out an impromptu video, which always stays, subscribed and notified, because I always can put out a video at any time. That's just how my mind works. But I think I'm going to take a moment, and I'll see you guys next week for the Raw review and reaction. You guys know the deal. Drink your coffee, your Starbucks, and whoop that ass. Amplified style. Ow! Come on, give it to him. Give it to him, please. Ow! Ow! Check you later.